Hi everyone, and a very warm welcome to this time's higher education session on TikTok. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Edward Lindemann. I'm a media partnerships manager focusing on the UK at TikTok. I'd also like to introduce the other members of our brilliant panel today.
Hi, I'm Max Tobin and I work for Electric House, which is a social media publisher, and I am a content creator that runs TikTok channels.
Hi, I'm Dr. Katie Lamb. I am a technician at the University of Liverpool, and I've also had research experience at the Green Chemistry Centre of Excellence at the University of York in creating new tools for teaching chemistry.
Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Glenn Hurst and I'm an Associate Professor at the University of York, specialising in chemistry education in the Green Chemistry Centre of Excellence.
So thanks very much for joining us here today, guys. The session, as we said, is going to be on TikTok. So I'm going to kick things off, really giving you kind of an introduction to the platform and how education can be created and shared on TikTok. Okay, so the focus of today's session is educating Gen Z. Are you ready to use TikTok to teach? So we're really going to look at how educational content is created and presented on the TikTok platform. So the things that we'll cover, or certainly I will be covering in my section, is our platform to give you a really light introduction. We'll do a quick app demo so that you'll feel comfortable using the app in the future. We'll quickly talk about Learn on TikTok, which is our content focus around educational content on the app. And then I'll introduce Max and we'll hear from him about how he creates content. And then I'll pass over to Katie and to Glenn, and we'll hear a bit more about their work on TikTok as well. Okay, so our platform, some of the key features that you'll notice when you use the app is that it's a full screen vertical video app. We're really trying to maximize the space on that screen. So when you're watching content, it's as engaging as it possibly can be. Personal content recommendation, that means we pay close attention to the content that you're consuming in the app so that we're able to recommend more interesting and relevant content for you in the future. Global community engagement, we work really hard to deliver localized content experience to our users across the world. So for example, in London, our European headquarters, we have content management and community management specialists like myself who help publishers and creators create and share content for the audience that they're in. And then finally, we're built from music. So we were the first platform to enable users to layer music over video. And it really is a big part of our identity as a product and as a brand. Our goal is to become the go-to platform for short form video on mobile. We've made huge progress towards doing that over the last few years, but especially in 2020, and I'm sure many of you will have discovered the brand this year. We're making great progress towards doing that, as I said, and in Europe, we've recently surpassed 100 million monthly active users, and we've also surpassed that number in North America. So as you would expect, there's lots and lots of users opening the app and using it on a daily basis. Okay, so let's dive into the app demo. So we're going to cover 4 sections: for you, discover, and content creation.
Wipe it down. Wipe it down.
So when you first open the app, you'll see content that's served to you straight away. This is because we're trying to really prioritize that content experience on the platform. You can swipe to the left and that will take you to the user's profile. And this is where you can discover more of their content. Will Smith is doing great on TikTok. It's not just because he's a global celebrity, it's because he's creating content that's really relevant for the app. Once you finish watching a video, you can swipe up, it'll take you on to the next video. Quite a cool world record there from Guinness World Records. Next video is an ad, so we're going to swipe past this.
Wait.
And of course, no
I'm
TikTok
gonna leave
video.
The room. Do not eat the treat. Do not eat the treat. Wait.
No app demo of TikTok would be complete without some cute pet videos.
boy, good girl. Come on, come on. I actually cannot believe that.
Okay, so this is the Discover page. This is where you can find new trends and audio that's happening in the platform. And you can also search for terms using the search toolbar at the top. So when you click that, you can search for a generic search term, something like maths, for example, and you can find all of the content that's in the platform based on that topic. And you can filter that based on the top results, the users, the videos, the sounds, and also hashtags. So a really important tool that I would say if you're using TikTok for a professional basis, then definitely familiarize yourself with that. This is creating content, so that's me shooting in first person. You can also shoot in third person, and the tools that you can see on the screen right now enable you to create more interesting and engaging content. You'll also see in the bottom right corner there's a thumbnail that's for upload. It means you can upload a video from the phone's memory if you have a completed asset. So you can click that and upload. But in this case, we're just going to shoot in app, and you'll see that there's a bar in the top of the screen that goes blue, and that indicates how much of a 15-second video you've created. So once you've shot your video, you can go through to the editing screen. This is where you can layer, for example, text over your video, a really effective way of bringing out context on your TikTok videos, especially if you're doing them for an informative or educational purpose. And then finally, you click next, and that will take you to the posting page. And this is where you can describe your video using the caption. You can save it to your draft, post it privately, control some of the settings for that video. It's the last step before the content enters our content ecosystem. Okay, so I'm just going to skip through because this is the profile here. But finally, the last thing I just wanted to show you is if you click on the top right-hand corner of the profile, it will take you onto privacy and settings. So we'll just quickly have a look at that. And this, again, is a really important part of the app that you should familiarize yourself with if you're using it for a professional basis, because you can obviously control how the platform is used and how your content is engaged with. So that is that app in a nutshell. Hope that was helpful. Just going to quickly talk you through Learn on TikTok. So this is the initiative that we started in the first half of 2020, really to promote educational and informative content on the platform. We've done this because whilst we know that TikTok already delivers an incredible, entertaining and engaging user experience, we really want to create value for our users in a different way and in an informative and educational way. So we've worked with a number of key partners from universities to public figures who are closely associated with education, and they've created some amazing content for the platform, which you'll see on the platform. And actually, one of those partners is the business that Max works for. So I think it takes us kind of nicely onto introducing him and hearing about some of his content and the work that he does. So Max, do you want to give us a quick intro about yourself, your background, and anything else that you think is relevant to your TikTok story?
Absolutely, yeah. So I work for a social media publisher, and my job there full time is running 3 TikTok accounts. So they're all educational. We call them the Ministry of Science, the Ministry of History, and the Ministry of Trivia. So those are the three kind of accounts and the 3 topics that we run. The idea of it is we make educational, informative content that's also quite funny. We try to introduce a fair amount of kind of cynicism and absurdity into it and make some content that's silly and, quite importantly, TikTok specific. So rather than just making, effectively digital PowerPoint presentations, it's more that we want to engage with our audience and make TikToks. So I work with, I have like a lot of PhD student friends. So we do some of the research together to make sure that all of the content is really informative and precise and exact. But at the same time, we have a lot of fun making quite silly, funny content. And I think Ed's got a few examples if you want to play one, Ed.
Yeah, sure.
If all 9 nations armed with nuclear weapons detonated them at once, which by the way would be a very fitting end to 2020, we would be pretty screwed. You see, these weapons would presumably be fired at cities, which would be totally destroyed. But following this, nuclear fallout would spread across the world via winds, resulting in radioactivity in the atmosphere and a nuclear winter. This would cause plants to die, and plants dying would cause animals to die, resulting in a mass extinction, working its way up to the hardiest of animals, which is us. The most effective method of survival would be living underground in a bunker or a vault. But until then, let's just rely on on the extraordinary benevolence and intelligence of our world leaders.
So yeah, it's quite a cynical, morbid topic there, but I think it's quite a good example of what TikTok does that no other platform does, which is that the text on the screen at the start of that was me replying to an individual comment. So someone had asked what would happen if all nuclear weapons went off, and we'd edited the video, but then we'd put it obviously through the TikTok editor and been able to reply directly to that comment, which has been an amazing tool for us. And I think it's the main reason that we've been so successful. We have around 400,000 combined followers. And I think a lot of it is because we let the audience curate our own content. So they give us questions that vary from really kind of heavy academic stuff, people wanting to know what happens to time in a black hole, all the way to really silly questions. You know, why is P yellow? And we try to answer them all and give actual scientific answers. And as you can see there, so it means we can reply to an individual comment and their name is on screen, and it encourages other people to ask more questions.
Great. Should we watch one more?
Yeah, go on.
We've all been there. You saw a puppy or a baby and thought, what if I kicked it? Or perhaps you were stood on a bridge and thought, what if I jumped? Thankfully, these feelings don't make you a psychopath. They're called intrusive thoughts, and theories indicate it's actually part of our brain warning us not to do these things. In other words, your mind is making you aware of the risk, i.e. be careful around that ledge, make sure you don't hurt that baby. But to make you aware of the risk, you have to first briefly consider the dangerous action. Of course, if you actually do kick babies, then that isn't normal and you need to stop.
So yeah, and another example there, one other thing that we've tried to do is kind of retain some semblance of social responsibility, just in the sense of making videos that try to reduce stigma around mental illness, for instance, or just make people feel a bit better, in that case, about something like intrusive thoughts, all the way to kind of trying to debunk conspiracy theories, like proving, for instance, that masks do help in a time of global pandemics, and all the way to slightly more kind of social, cultural stuff, like showing how prevalent homosexuality is in the animal kingdom, to show how it's natural among all kind of animals and species. So it's nice that we also have the opportunity to, as kind of partially demonstrated there, make videos that hopefully come away not just educating people and making people laugh, but making them feel a bit better about existence also.
Did you know a squirrel can survive a fall from any height? You could literally drop a squirrel off a skyscraper and it could still survive. Why? Because squirrels can survive a fall at their terminal velocity, which is the fastest any object can fall. This is because they have light bodies but can stretch out into a wide surface area, so they have a light gravitational pull and lots of aerodynamic resistance. Anyway, don't experiment with this at home. The squirrel might not die, but it's still considered quite rude, lobbing squirrels off buildings.
And yeah, and there we have an example of obviously one that was a bit shorter and a bit sillier. And we do try to do a fair amount of those videos, because TikTok, obviously the kind of growth you can experience and the reach is pretty out of this world. So we like to kind of balance making some short little fun videos that are likely to grab a lot of people's attention. And it's almost like a trick. It's a carrot on the stick, because then they follow the channel and they get slapped with some quantum mechanics. And that's what we enjoy. That's what we enjoy doing, kind of matching short, high impact content with much longer, more educational and academic content also.
Thanks, Max, very much. Just a couple of questions from me. The first one is, could you kind of talk us through your content kind of creation process? So how do you start right up to the point where you like post it on the platform?
Absolutely. So all of our content is, I'd say 80% of it is curated by the audience. So sometimes I'll just sit doing research and find topics that I enjoy, but the vast majority of the time, people for history, trivia and science are actually deciding what they want us to make a video on themselves. So it's a lot of kind of engaging with people in comments until I find a question that's either very interesting or very funny, or that just is, relevant enough to warrant explanation. I take that. I normally, depending on the kind of complexity of it, I include a lot of my friends who are better at science than me, with more significant credentials to do research and to write up the video. We then film it. We film it on a phone, sometimes in the TikTok app. Sometimes we just film a video and splice it together externally. But then either way, it ends up getting put through the TikTok editor once it's shot. A lot of the time that involves replying to a question also. And then we release it into the world of TikTok and then just try to chat to people in the comments and encourage more kind of discussion and more questions.
Great. And Max, you obviously have a background in like producing content and short films and stuff. How have you found working in a vertical format?
Working in a vertical format is very interesting. I make films outside of TikTok, and one of the funny things about it is that it felt to me initially very, very unnatural. But in terms of a setting like this, when you're making educational content, the more I kind of played around with it and did more editing and more shooting, I realized that there's actually something very natural about shooting in portrait, because if you're doing something educational, it's very often going to be piece to camera. That's kind of what grabs audiences. It's more interesting than just kind of slides, you know, to be talking and explaining to a camera. And there kind of isn't anything more natural than portrait when you're doing that, because you're kind of minimizing the empty space and you're really kind of engaging with the user by filling the screen and by talking in a much more natural setting. So bizarrely, even though I initially admittedly did think that I'd absolutely hate it, but I've actually found that working in a vertical environment has been very pleasant and seems to be very fitting to educational content specifically.
Super. Max, thanks so much for joining us and sharing your insights. Quick plug for your TikTok accounts.
Right, yeah. The TikTok accounts are the Ministry of Science, Ministry of History, and Ministry of Trivia. So if you'd like to check out our content and find out why P is yellow, then head over there.
Great, thanks, Max. Okay, I'm gonna hand over to Glenn and to Katie, and I think they've got some really exciting slides and insight to share with you as well.
So hello, everyone. Our presentation is going to be about how we've utilized TikTok in combination with a pedagogical framework called systems thinking in order to facilitate scientific public engagement and contextualization of our subject chemistry at home. My name is Dr. Glenn Hurst, and I am an associate professor at the Green Chemistry Centre of Excellence at the University of York.
And I am Katie Lamb, a technician at the University of Liverpool.
So the structure of this presentation is really going to begin by introducing exactly what systems thinking is and some previous work. We're then going to move on to how we utilize TikTok, and specifically in combination with systems thinking, to facilitate an engaging education environment, and then some data to show how effective this teaching is. So what is systems thinking? Systems thinking allows us to teach students in a way where we transition from a reductionist and isolated understanding of subject matter, where, for example, students may compartmentalize knowledge in different silos and move towards a more holistic and integrated understanding of subject matter, allowing students and the public to see the connections and to consider the actual whole and entire system. And the ways that my research group does that is through higher education, by designing programs, for example, at the graduate level through continuing professional development, and also through outreach. And we achieve that through practical experiments, through games, and specifically what we're going to be focusing on today, technology, looking at social media. So some previous work where we adopted an instructor-led approach was utilizing a platform called Snapchat to allow students to engage and contextualize chemistry that was taught in lectures so they could see the relevance in everyday life. So you can see in the center there me playing golf, and I'm pleased with my pitch to the green from 130 yards. And I start talking about the chemistry behind golf balls, that they are formed of polybutadiene, which links to what I was talking about in the lectures. Or you can see me in the bottom right in the Amazon rainforest, developing green chemistry experiments for students in remote locations and sharing that with our audience back home. However, utilizing TikTok, we were able to transition from an instructor-led approach to empowering our students.
So following on from the success of using social media in teaching chemistry, we decided to try TikTok. And as nicely introduced by Ed and Max, it's a social media app that is often used by influencers and celebrities to create short, engaging and creative videos. It's been used by the general public to vlog about daily life in lockdown. There's been some fun festive based videos released, and it has also been used by celebrities to create dance-based trends and to also interact with their fans, especially during this pandemic period. We were interested in particular in using TikTok, as TikTok is actually now one of the all-time top 10 most downloaded phone apps of all time worldwide. Not only is it popular, but it is also mainly used by the younger demographic, and it is estimated that in the US alone, nearly half of users are aged from 18 to 24, with many users also suspected to be even younger. With this in mind, we wondered if we could use the creative element of TikTok to make engaging educational chemistry videos that not only could be viewed by people across the globe, but also infuse the younger generation about chemistry. In terms of creating these videos, this work was done by Claire Hayes and Catherine Stote, BSc students at the University of York. Claire and Katie created a TikTok account which they called the Chemistry Collective, which they then used to make and share 16 educational chemistry-based videos using a systems thinking approach to inform the general public about current issues, but to also encourage people to perform their own experiments at home. Now, sticking with the theme of doing chemistry at home, one of the TikTok videos that I'd like to show to you today highlights how you can actually use a lemon to pop a balloon. By using creative elements available to app users of TikTok, such as stickers, GIFs, music, and video editing tools, Claire and Katie were able to create this short video, which not only shows you how to pop a balloon using nothing more than a lemon, but also informs the viewer as to why this happens. Not only were videos created to encourage people to do these experiments at home, but we use systems thinking to also create videos to inform the public about how chemistry is being used to tackle current global issues.
And in doing this, it was very important for us to utilize a research-led approach to expose students and the public to the cutting-edge research going on in the Green Chemistry Centre of Excellence, and in conjunction with systems thinking. Indeed, all of our research in the Green Chemistry Centre is underpinned by what are called the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. These are 17 goals that the UN has set the globe to actually tackle ahead of 2030. And these goals are integrated, they are interdisciplinary, and they will require teams working across different disciplines, considering not just isolated components of the problem, but entire dynamic systems thinking about all inputs and outputs. That's how such problems are going to be actually solved. And you can see, according to this 5-step process there, how we embrace systems thinking to be able to make such videos based around our research within sustainability. Indeed, in the second reference at the bottom of the page there, you can see a student-led piece of work where usually we enjoy an orange, we peel it, and what happens to the peel? Unfortunately, we throw it away in the bin. However, we can valorize that and extract valuable chemicals, and in this case, make marmalades. In the next example, we're going to show you a TikTok video that demonstrates the safe disposal of petroleum-based plastics, a significant problem in our oceans.
100 racks on me, spin it, babe. Light a match, get lit, it, babe. That jet set, watch the sunset, kinda. Yeah, yeah. Rolling eyes back in my head, make my toes curl, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you got that yummy, that yummy, that yummy, yummy. Yeah, you got that yummy, that yummy, that yummy, yummy. Say the word on my way, yeah, babe, yeah, babe, yeah, babe. Any night, any.
After creating these videos, we then invited 29 participants with different levels of science education to provide feedback on our TikTok videos. And we ran this in March 2020 via Google Forms. Pleasingly, we received a lot of positive feedback. In particular, the visual and musical elements of the TikTok videos were highlighted as extremely positive aspects, as well as the fun yet informative nature of the videos. The majority of participants also pleasingly stated they had learned something new from the TikTok videos, felt inspired to recreate these experiments at home, and had also found they now had an increased interest in chemistry as a direct result of watching these videos. We also got some encouraging feedback on these videos as shown at the bottom right-hand side of this slide, with participants stating comments such as TikTok videos made science more approachable and applicable to day-to-day life. Now, all of this work was performed by Claire and Catherine and was recently published as a research article for the Journal of Chemical Education. TikTok, therefore, can not only be used to teach chemistry in a fun and engaging way and facilitate public engagement, but it also enables students to act as co-partners in creating these videos and as well as communicating chemistry to the general public, which we think is an extremely beneficial feature. So to conclude, we believe that TikTok can be used to engage, educate and infuse the general public about chemistry, can be used in conjunction with systems thinking to highlight the importance of chemistry in research and in tackling current global issues, and if used correctly, can provide a new tool for educators to improve chemistry teaching, dissemination and public engagement with chemistry. If you would like to talk with us at all about anything we have discussed today, we would be more than happy to have a conversation with anyone interested in this work, and our email addresses are now shown at the top right hand of this slide. If you are interested in this work even more and want to read more about it, there's a reference to the paper at the bottom. And we'd finally like to end by thanking you all for listening, and thank you also to the Times Higher Education for inviting us to speak.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Glenn and Katie. It's so fantastic to see the research that you have done. From a TikTok, from a platform perspective, we really, about 6 to 9 months ago, really wanted to encourage our users to create and share that educational content. And it's so nice to have that that idea like reaffirmed by academics who actually say, yeah, you're right, people can learn from the platform. So thank you so much for sharing your insight and joining us today. I guess I just want to say again, thanks for joining, and also to Max as well for sharing your insight and your content. I really hope everyone who has joined us today has learned not just about the TikTok platform, how it can be used to create and share educational content, but also learn from the TikTok videos we saw, because I know I learned from some of those videos as well, which I think again proves our concept. So massive thank you. I just wanted to also finally just share my screen one last time, just to kind of in the same way both Glenn and Katie did, just to say anyone from the university space who is interested in creating an account for the platform, feel free to also take my details. By all means, reach out to Glenn and Katie. I'm sure their insight will be incredibly valuable to you. If you need some more practical help around opening, verifying accounts, then feel free to reach out to me. And as a platform, we'll do our best to support you, because as we've said, educational is a big priority for us. Thanks everyone for joining, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the festival. Thank you.